Hello and welcome to this video recording on Excel for business decision making. We will discuss the business decisions, of course, but let's think about the process of making those decisions. There is a very popular model which provides 7-step process of making those decisions. The first one is to identify the decision. Second is to gather information, then identify the alternatives, then weigh the alternatives or evaluate the alternatives, then choose the alternative, the best possible option, then take action or make a decision, and then review your decision. This is applied to any business or any business model. But we can also apply this to our regular day-to-day personal life. And we do that. We apply that knowingly or unknowingly. Okay. For important decisions in our lives, like buying a large asset, like a house, or make an investment, financial investment, or buy a laptop, for example, or to go on a dinner. We always weigh options, we always weigh alternatives, and whichever one is the best option for us, we select that. But think about it. For most important decisions, like purchasing a house or purchasing a technological goods which are expensive, we think about costs. We think about how it is going to affect our financial health, okay, of our household. Now, that's us. That's how we think. That's how we process the decision. But the same thing can be said for the businesses as well. When the businesses make decisions, and the decisions could be about making investments, new investments, expanding a product range, entering into new market, offering a discount, okay, changing supplier, getting more resources, many different decisions, right? They will always have different alternatives available, okay? And for each alternative, it is very important for the business to check the impact of that decision on the cost, income, as well as the profit, okay? And they do that. They do assess it, because at the end of the day, it is all about making profit. And if the alternative is not going to be financially feasible, it is not going to provide more profit, it is going to have kind of negative impact on the cost, then perhaps it's not worth considering. Okay, so for any decision of the business, they go through this process, and they consider different alternatives, all right, and then they select the best possible alternative. But the most important thing for them to think about is how it is going to play out from the finance point of view. So that's what we are going to be looking at in this video. We are going to be playing with Excel and see how Excel can help in evaluating the options a business has available to make decisions. Okay, and Excel is a brilliant tool to do that. Now, I'm assuming that you have a bit of marginal costing knowledge for this video, right? Or CVP analysis, as we call it, marginal costing or CVP analysis. If not very sure, there is another video which I created on CVP analysis, marginal costing. Have a look at that, come back, and then resume this video. Okay, right, so we'll be using Excel for that. And the particular function that we'll be using from Excel is actually hidden in the data tab right at the top. When you click on data and then go to the forecast section, there is a what if analysis option available. So click on that, and that offers you 3 different options. The first one is scenario manager. All 3 are what if analysis functions. First one is scenario manager, and that's what we'll be using in this video. The other 2, goal seek and data table, they're great as well, okay, but I'm not actually going to keep it in within the scope of this video. We can make another video for them. Okay, so we're just going to be focusing on scenario manager as function. So keep that function in mind. And now let's see how that function can be useful. And for that, what could be a better way than actually looking at a scenario? We have a nice scenario, a case study where let's just read it and find out what it is. Yeah. So Dr. Strange Limited, interesting name, has been running a small business of manufacturing, selling one type of electric heaters. Currently, each heater is sold for £20. Variable cost per unit is 8. Total fixed cost 100,000. Total sales is 10,000 heaters. This business is producing and selling electric heaters, selling it for 20, making it for 8. Fixed costs for the business like rent, the salaries of the people working in the administrative department, so on and so forth, is £100,000. Total sales is 10,000 heaters. Now, the business wants to increase their sales. All right, so that's their decision. They want to increase their sales, and they have 3 possible options. Number 1 is to expand the business. This option is expansion of operation, which allows the volume of sales to be increased to 15,000. So if they go for this option, their sales will increase to 15,000, but for that they will need to incur further £30,000 worth of fixed costs. And this fixed cost could be extra fixed costs for getting another warehouse to store extra goods. It could be rent, it could be machinery. They may need to get a new machinery. They may have to hire more supervisory staff. Who knows? So that we know that it's going to incur extra fixed costs of 30,000. Selling and variable costs will remain the same. So we are not making any changes to the price or the cost of making each product. Variable cost. Number 2 is cheaper product. So option 2 is to an adaptation of the product, making a cheaper alternative product for the market. The selling price would drop to 15, the variable cost would drop to £5.50, no change in the fixed cost, and the number of customers will increase to 16,000. So we are making a cheaper alternative, probably using cheaper material, cheaper labor. So making a cheaper product to appeal to the customers who we are not actually securing so far. And number 3 is the better product, which is an adaptation of the product, making a superior quality product, selling it for 24, making it for 11. So we are making it a better quality product, better quality material, and better quality labor, and so on and so forth. The number of customers would decrease to 12,000 and fixed costs would remain the same. So customers will decrease compared to the other 2 options. Yeah, it will go down to 12. But compared to the existing option, the current situation, there will still be an increase of 2,000 customers. Okay, so this is the scenario, and we want to create alternative scenarios using the spreadsheet so we can look at the holistic picture and see which option is best. And for that, we'll be using what-if analysis. But before we dive into it, before we start that, we will need to do something. And that is actually create formulas within our spreadsheet. And to do that, I have created 2 sections on one of the spreadsheets, is input screen and output screen. So the input screen will record in the information that is coming from the case study, and the output screen will have cell references to the input screen. So we'll be fetching data from that. Okay. So for example, selling price for, say, this is the current situation we are considering. First of all, current situation, the selling price is 20, variable cost is 8, fixed cost 100,000. And number of units sold 10,000. Okay, so that's input, current situation. Now, what does the output screen, the screen that we want to use to assess the option, should contain? Well, we need to look at contribution per unit. First of all, we want to see what the profit there will be. We want to check the break-even point. We want to check the margin of safety, and we want to check the operating profit percentage. So we can compare those items for each and every option and then come to a right conclusion. All right. So contribution per unit, first of all, is selling price minus variable cost. So producing and selling each product fetches £12 into the business, right? And selling number of units of 10,000, right, will generate sales revenue of 10,000 multiplied by selling price of 20, that's 200,000. It will have a variable cost of 8 into 10,000, so 80,000. Contribution margin would be sales minus variable cost. Okay, so currently selling 10,000 units will fetch £120,000 worth of contribution. Now, that will work towards recovery of the fixed costs. Okay, so we have fixed cost worth of 100,000 incurred for the whole business. We are getting 120,000 after removing the variable costs, and that will give us the operating profit of 20,000. Okay, so currently we are making £20,000 worth of profit. What about break-even point? How many units must we sell to reach to a point where we are neither making profit but nor making loss as well? So that would be our fixed costs and divided by contribution per unit. Okay, so if we divide it, we get 8,333. We must sell 8,333 units to reach to a break-even point. Anything above than that, we are safe. Anything below than that, we'll be making loss. How safe? Let's find out. That's called margin of safety. So currently we are selling 10,000 units. Break-even point is 8,333. So the difference between those two items is margin of safety. As long as we stay within those two figures, we'll be making profit. Anything below 8,333 will be making loss. So what's that difference? Take that minus break-even point, and we find margin of safety in units, 1,667. We can express it in terms of percentage as well. So margin of safety in percentage would be margin of safety divided by number of units sold, and that currently represents 17% of the total sales. We can also work out the operating profit percentage, and that's quite important for analysis. So operating profit divided by sales revenue, that gives us 10% profit. So we are making a very small amount of profit right now. Possibly through these options, the business wants to, yes, increase sales, but try and increase the profit as well. It doesn't say in the case here, but I think that's the idea, increase profit. Right, so we have the current situation. We want to compare the three alternatives with the current situation and see whether any of the options viable, and if so, which one. And for that, let's use what if analysis. So remember, go to the data tab, then click on what if analysis, and then click on scenario manager. Okay, now a window like this will pop up, and what we want to do is use this add button to create as many scenarios as we want, really. So the first scenario we are going to be adding is click add, then type in current situation. Then it asks you which cell contains the input data, and for that we select cell containing all the input data, that is B2 up to B5. Leave the text in column A out. Excel doesn't deal with the text very well, so do that and then click OK. Then it asks you to just double check the figures that you entered. Yeah, 28, 100,000 and 10,000. So selling price, are the figures right? And then we say yes and click OK. So that we have already created one scenario. And now we can keep adding the scenarios. The next scenario will be, remember the first option, that is expansion. So let's type in expansion and then changing cells, that are going to be the same. Yeah, so we can keep them as they are and click OK. But when it comes to the values, adding values, we can add different values. If you remember, in expansion, we are not changing the selling price. So selling price can stay as 20. Variable cost is also the same. The fixed costs, however, are increasing by 30,000. So it's going to go up to 130,000. But as a result of sales will increase to 15,000 units as well. So we are changing the cells B5 to 15,000 and click OK. So we have created expansion scenario, that's done. And then we add another scenario, that is a cheaper product. Cells, changing cells will be the same. Click OK. And then in this case, our product price is going to be 15. The variable cost is going to be £5.50. Fixed costs are going to be the same, but the number of customers are going to go up to 16,000. Big jump. And then click OK. So we have cheaper product, and we add one more now, and that is of better product. We are making better quality product. So better product, better quality product. Okay. Changing cells same. Click OK, and then price goes up to 24. Variable cost 11, fixed cost no change, and number of customers are going to jump up to 12,000. Click OK. Right, brilliant. So now we have all 4 scenarios, and we are ready to analyze them. Okay, there are 2 ways to look at each and every scenario. There is a show button. So when you click on select any scenario and then click show, it actually shows you that scenario that you created. So right now it is showing the current situation, but if I change it to expansion and click show, the figures are changing. You can see, yeah, the figures have changed. Sales revenue jumped up to 300,000. Variable cost change, contribution margin change, fixed cost change, operating profit changed, and you can see all the other figures. It's actually looking better, right? Compared to the current situation, it's looking better. Cheaper option, click on cheaper option, then show, and again it changes. And then better quality option, and click on that, again it shows, right? So it alternatively shows each scenario that you want to see and assess. So you can do that, or you can create a summary sheet. Okay, whichever one you prefer. You can create a summary sheet which actually lists all the scenarios together, right? So if I click on summary sheet, yeah, and then it asks you where is the resulting cell. Now here you need to remember, it's very important that you give reference to all the resulting cells, not the input data but the output screen with the figures. So I'm going to select the output screen with the figures. Okay, so I'll click that and then selected that, and now click OK. And it adds a new worksheet in Excel workbook, you can see. Yeah, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So current values, then current situation, expansion, cheaper product, better quality product. So really this current values column is not important. It's just showing, it's repeating what the values were compared to the other scenarios you created. You can either get rid of it or you can keep it. I'm just going to get rid of that column, delete, and then it shows all different scenarios. I'm just going to make it look a little bit better by, can you see this column B and C? This actually contains cell references rather than the names that we gave to each item. Remember the names on here? So I want to change that. So I'm going to select input and include it here. Yeah, so I can get rid of this numbers, cell references. So that's the input screen, my input screen. We can make changes to the layout afterwards, that's fine. And then I can select the output screen and copy and paste that as well here. Yeah, it's just making it slightly weird because the column B is a bit small. I can make the column B a bit bigger by making it slightly bigger. This can be avoided, and then get rid of column C. Yeah, column C, and there you go. it's much better now. You can see what's going on. So it has created all three scenarios, right? All four scenarios, including current situation, as we wanted. And it's looking good. So the first one is the current situation. I can get rid of this row as well. Don't need that. Okay, now it's better. So current situation. If we look at this last section, yeah, which talks about the most important bits in our analysis. So the current situation, break-even point is 8,333 units. Compared to that, expansion option will require sell of 10,833 units. Okay, quite high or higher in terms of breaking even. Cheaper alternative has an break-even point of 10,526, slightly lower than the expansion option, but still higher than the current situation. And the very last option of making it better quality, making it more expensive, has the lowest break-even point. And can you understand why? The reason is the cheaper option, the cheaper alternative, because you are making it cheaper, you have to sell a lot of products to bring in enough contribution to recover sufficient fixed costs to break even. If you don't sell enough, then you won't bring in enough contribution and the fixed cost won't be covered. So that's why the break-even point is higher. You have to sell a lot to recover the fixed cost because it's cheap. Now, in terms of margin of safety, compared to the existing option, all three options compared to existing situation, all three options are looking great, a lot better. But again, amongst the three options, cheaper alternative is the best, right? It has the highest margin of safety. In terms of percentage of margin of safety as well, it is high, but not as high as better quality option. And lastly, operating profit. Yes, it does matter, the operating profit margin, how much profit is going to generate. Now, out of all four scenarios, clearly cheaper alternative is the best scenario. It provides the best profit in percentage, right? But also in the profit, absolute profit figures, it's quite high, right? Compared to the existing situation, it is 52,000, slightly lower than expansion of the better quality product option is 4,000 lower, but still comes at the second rank. So far, all the indicators are indicating towards going for option 2, which is to make a cheaper product, right? We can get more customers. But then there are downsides. So from the finance point of view, that's what we can say. Option 2 is better. Yeah, profitability wise is better. You have to make slightly less number of products. But yeah, then the better quality product option is also good. Apart from the operating profit margin, it's actually showing some good results. Yeah, lower break-even point, higher margin of safety, right? But actually, margin of safety in units is lower. But yeah, so these are the kind of financial implications the business need to think of. But apart from that, there could be other non-financial factors a business might need to consider. Things like, if they go for the cheaper alternative option, then there could be an issue with regard to the quality of the product. There could be loss of sales return. The customers may not be happy, return the product. That would be a loss. There could be a wastage of material, right? So those are the non-financial factors the business needs to think about. If they decide to go for the better quality option, then there is a risk that they may not be able to sell all the products. That customers may refuse to buy, right, the product because it's more expensive, right? It is easy to make it cheaper than actually appeal a more better quality and expensive product to the customers. So those kind of non-financial factors the business needs to consider. But now you get the idea, how Excel can be helpful in creating this scenario. So the what if analysis is a brilliant tool, and especially the scenario manager. Imagine you have 20 different scenarios, how quickly you can create those and observe the impact on the financial side, okay, clearly through one spreadsheet. So I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something from it. Thank you for watching.